All right, Shabbos say good morning. Good morning. Let us begin a good tava. Hope everybody had a beautiful Shabbos. Ashkach Rabbi Kamma and Akiva for giving shir yesterday. Wonderful shir yesterday. And Baruch Hashem, a great zuchos to be able to begin a new week of learning. To thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Adar Aleph, Mrs. Selma Wolf, for dedicating all the Shir and Drushos this month with immense gratitude for the refuahs from Hashem and the merit of refuah for all of those in need, and the schus of our brave soldiers, and in the schus of the return of each of our hostages. The Schwartzbaum family, in memory of Rabbi Aaron Schwartzbaum, Aaron Yosef Ben Meir Zichron Livracha, the Ziv Levine and Berman families, in memory of Mr. William Ziv Zev Shmuel Ben Yisrael Zichron Livracha, in the schus Le'ilei Nishmas Sergeant First Class Ori Yaish, who has fallen in battle defending Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, and of course again, and Daf Yomi sponsor for Te'eli Ilei Nishmas. This is my son-in-law's mother, Esther Necha Bas Rab Menachem Zichron Livracha, whose 10th yard site is today. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, all of the neshamas will have an aliyah, and the families a nechama. Of course, we dedicate all of Maseches Baba Kamma Le'ilui Nishmas Master Sergeant Yomi Chol Charush Hashem Yikom Damo. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, his neshama will have an aliyah, and the family a nechama. But with that, let us begin. Today's daf, a lot to do today. Today's daf is daf Kuf Ches. So I apologize in advance. We're going to stop. I have to stop a little bit earlier today. So Meretz Hashem, we will get in as much as we can in the allotted amount of time. I'm confident we'll get through it. Meretz Hashem, we'll be good. So we'll say today's daf is Kuf Ches 108, and we are picking up in Meretz Hashem on Kuf Zayin Amud Beis 107b. 3 lines are from the bottom. Boy Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama asked the following kasha: Mamon hamechayvo kefel potra ben achomesh odilma shvua mechayavto kefel potra sa ben achomesh. So we'll say, the question begins like this. Now remember, in these types of cases, what we're really focusing on over here is the situation of a shomer, someone who's entrusted with the pikadon. Ultimately, again, when the owner of the pikadon comes to go ahead and reclaim the pikadon, so the shomer is not being truthful and forthcoming about the status of the pikadon. So let me translate the question, and then the Gemara, of course, is going to ask, how exactly do we apply this question? So here's the translation. If you have money, if you have a monetary claim that ultimately goes ahead and makes you chayiv in kefel, right? Ultimately, do we say that same money, you can't be chayiv on the same money, kefel and chomesh? Or perhaps it's once you have a shvua that requires you to pay kefel, that by definition, that same shvua cannot be mechayiv you in chomesh. Now, I'll say the question is going to make a lot more sense in just a moment. The Gemara says, "Hey chidami, what are you talking about? What's the case over here?" So I'll tell you the case. Kigon, Shatan Tainas Garav. Here's the case. Ruvain deposits a pikadon with Shimon. Ruvain comes to go ahead and reclaim the pikadon. What happens? I'm sorry. Kigon Shatan Tainas Garav. Shimon claims it was stolen. It was stolen. It was stolen. That's what I say. Remember again. That's a shomer who's towing Tainas Ganav. He's claiming that the object was stolen. Vinishba, and Shimon swears. Right, he takes a shvua. Shomri swears that the object was stolen from him. The chazar v'ta'an tainas avad v'nishba, and then I will say, watch this. Shimon, the same shomer, goes in and swears again. This time he claims, however, that the object was lost. Okay, so he's making 2 different claims. So what's the halacha? So now, top of Kufchas. So just to follow this. So again, Reuven deposited the object with Shimon, comes to get back the object. First, Shimon goes ahead and claims that, First, Shimon claims that the object was stolen. He swears to that effect. Then he goes ahead, the Chazar Tanis Avad. He then claims, no, I made a mistake. It was lost. It was lost. And he swears to that effect as well. So we'll say, so now what happens? Top of Kufchas, here we go. Uba edima kamaisa. So now witnesses show up and say, sorry Shimon, the object was not stolen. Object was not stolen. You have the object. So ba'idma kamaisa v'hoda, and Shimon admits it. Shimon admits. Look at top Rashi. Ba'edim tichshenishba haisa etzla lechayiv kefel v'hadra hoda iu abas raisa. So let's say, now what happens? Ba'idma kamaisa. So witnesses come and claim, Shimon, the object was not stolen. You have it. V'hoda Abbas Raisa. And Shimon himself then is modeh that the object was not lost. So you see what happens over here? It's actually really quite a fascinating case. Bottom line is, do not deposit anything with Shimon, right? That's the takeaway over here. So we'll say, so the mice again, so now witnesses come and say, Shimon, you lied. The object was not stolen, you had it the whole time. Shimon then admits on the second Shavua that the object was not lost. So we'll say, so now what do we do with this case? So I just want to point out what's happening over here, right? So what do you do with this? On one hand, remember, let's play this out. On one hand, based on the testimony of the first witnesses, what should Shimon be chayiv? Kefil, because he's a ganav. Based on the second witnesses, or I should say, there's not really second witnesses, based on the second Shavua, where Shimon admits that he swore falsely that the object was lost, what should be Shimon's liability? Chomesh, for a false soul. Remember, it's Karen Chomesh Asham. So we'll say, so now the Shaila is Mai. So now here, what's fascinating about this? So now you have two distinct financial liabilities, but all focus on the same body of money, right? So we'll say, okay, I'm going to tie this all for you together again now. So watch this. Let's take it from the top. Reuven, let's just call Reuven deposits $1,000 by Shimon. It's not a loan, right? He deposits him by Shimon. Shimon's watching the money. Reuven comes to reclaim the money. First thing Shimon says is, the money was stolen. The money was stolen. And he swears that the money was stolen. Then he goes ahead and he has a second claim. You know what? The money wasn't stolen. The money was lost. The money was lost. And he swears that the money was lost. Okay? Now, witnesses show up. First set of witnesses say, Shimon, the money was not stolen. The money was you. The money was with you. So we'll say, so now based on that testimony, there's a chiv kefel. There's a chiv kefel because now Shimon is a ganav. Then after that happens, then Shimon admits that he sweared falsely, that he lied, that the money was lost. Based on that admission, he should be chayiv, Karen, Chomesh, and Asham. So what's interesting over here is you have two distinct financial liabilities on the same body of money. So what do you do with this? So the Gemara says, mamona mechayavto kefal potra min hachomesh va'ichayiv leiluye kefal. So do we say, listen, once you chayiv on one body of money, kefal, so we'll say, so essentially you can't be chayiv anything else on that. So therefore, since as a result of the first set of witnesses showing up, so Shimon became chayiv in kefal, so therefore at the end of the day, there's no buildup of chomesh upon that. O dilma, shvua ha-mechayavto kefal potrasa min hachomesh. Or maybe no. Maybe it's just the same oath can't make you liable in both kefal and chomesh, but in this case over here, the ha shvua basraisa hoyod lo kamachayva lekfela techayve chumsha. So essentially what the Gemara is asking is like this: do we say that it's the same body of money cannot make you chayiv in both kefal and chomesh? In which case, in this case over here, once Shimon is chayiv in kefal as a result of the testimony of the first set of witnesses, kind of like the financial case is closed. Financial case is closed, he's chayiv kefel, and then even after he admits subsequently that he lied on the second oath, we kind of don't take that into account. Or, the other possibility is, it's not a din in the money, it's a din in the shvua. One oath can't make you chayiv both kefel and chomesh. Now, what's the beauty in this case? Not the beauty, but what's interesting about this case? In this case, it's two distinct oaths. So maybe again, the first oath made him chayiv in kefal, the second oath made him chayiv in chomesh. It's not one oath making you liable to two distinct monetary obligations. Therefore, in this case, he should be chayiv. So we'll say that's our shaila. Amar Rava. So let's analyze this. Amar Rava. Tashma. Amar le'echa min hashok hechan shori sheganafta. So listen to this case. Reuven goes over to Shimon. And Reuven says, Shimon, where is my ox that you stole? I know that you stole it. V'hu omer lo ganafti. Shimon says, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I didn't steal anything. Mashbi'acha ani. Reuven says, fine, swear. Swear that you didn't steal anything. V'amar amen. And we'll say, now by the way, I just do want to point out, like, the case is more complicated than I will say. Obviously, it can't work like this. Like, you go over to someone, you say, hey, you stole my ox. He says, no, I didn't. And you say, swear. Obviously, you need more than that, right? You need more than that to generate an oath. Otherwise, can you imagine the kind of just oath havoc, shvua havoc, that you could cause with people if you could just claim anything just in a whimsical fashion? But again, for the purposes of our case over here, we're just kind of we're just simplifying the case. So as Reuben goes over to Shimon, Shimon, you stole my ox. Shimon says, no, I didn't. Right? Reuben says, fine, swear. So what happens? Amar Ameh. Amar Ameh means Shimon swears. Shimon swears. Va'idim idin also shagan voho. Now witnesses show up and they say, Shimon, you did go ahead and steal the ox. What's the halacha? L'shayim tashlumi kefal. All right, both say straightforward case. Right, straightforward case. So ultimately, in this case, Shimon pays kefal. Why Shimon pay kefal? Why? He's a ganav. He's a ganav. Now, what happens if after having taken the shvuah, so now Shimon admits that he lied? Then what's the halacha? Mishalim keren v'chomesh v'asham. So again, we know he pays his three-pronged payment: keren, chomesh, and a carbon asham. So we'll see it. Interestingly enough, this is a case of where if witnesses show up, they make him chayiv in kefal, hoda me'atzmo in, right? So we'll say, and then in that case over here, if he admits it of his own volition, he's chayiv. Aval hoda achar edim lo. But if he admits liability after witnesses come, then halacha l'maisa, he's not chayiv kefal. So the Gemara says, now, if you think that in general, any shvuah that makes you chayiv in kefal can only make you chayiv in kefal, can't make you chayiv in chomesh, then amai hoda achar edim lo. Then why is it that if he admits liability after witnesses come, why is he exempt? Why is there no liability? Michdi, ha-shvuah lo kama chayiv elek fela. This shvuah only made him chayiv in kefal, didn't make him chayiv in chomesh, to chayiv chomsha. Alalash shmamina, Rabbi says, what do you see from here? Mamon ha-mechayiv kefal, patrasa min ha-chomesh, shmamina. So Rabbi says, what you see from here, and Rabbi say, this is the halacha l'maisa, that on one body of money, you can't be chayiv both kefal and chomesh. It's not a din in the shvuah, it's a din in the money, right? One monetary claim cannot make you chayiv both kefal and chomesh. So essentially, once you're going to be chayiv in kefal, you're pater from chomesh. And by the way, it works both ways. In other words, once you're chayiv in one of those monetary payments, then ultimately you're not going to be chayiv on the other. You can't, essentially, there's no like double jeopardy, when it comes to monetary claims. Either you're going to be chayiv in kefil, or you're going to be chayiv in chomesh. Therefore, I will say, in this case over here, so just to kind of plug this back in, because it's actually very interesting. So in this case over here, where again, Reuven deposited money with Shimon, Reuven comes back to get the deposit. Shimon claims it was stolen. Shimon swears that it was stolen. Then Shimon changes his mind and he says, you know what? It wasn't stolen, rather I swear that it was lost. Witnesses come and say, Shimon, it wasn't stolen, right? You had it. So we'll say, so now what's the halacha? And now witnesses come, right? Witnesses come on the first claim, and he admits that he swore falsely on the second claim. So I will say, what do I have in this case over here? Based on the first set of witnesses who arrive, he's chayiv. He's chayiv what? Kefal, right? Based on there's no second set of witnesses, but based on the admission from the second oath, he's chayiv chomesh. So what do we do in a case like this? You're chayiv kefal. Once you chayiv kefal, that's it. That's it, because you can't be chayiv. Bottom line is, you can't be chayiv both kefal and chomesh on the same monetary claim. So essentially what's really going to happen is whatever liability you incur first, that's the liability that's going to stick and doesn't allow the other financial liability to devolve upon that same body of money. Beautiful. It's a good week. It's a good week already, right? So, by Ravina, chomesh ukfela betray garima. So, we'll say this is interesting. Here we go. And I will say, by the way, I know that these gemaras are hard gemaras, right? And a lot going on. Tapim are long. I got it. We'll say, but that's why the key is there are still a couple of Bava Kamma Daf Yomi notebooks left. I will say, can I just say something? If you're just learning and not writing something down, I promise you, you are not taking anything with you. That is a money-back guarantee. You are taking nothing. You're taking nothing. Even writing something down, right? It's hard enough to take something. We move fast. These are complicated gemaras, and if you don't just write down your nugget, this is today's nugget. This is what I'm taking. Margin. You don't have to use a notebook. This is not like I don't get a commission on the notebooks, right? Or you can write it in the margin of your gemara, just assuming you're not using a shul gemara, right? You could go ahead, right? You write it down. Let's say something here on Sunday. I got this yisod from the gemara, and that's yours. If you don't write it down, again, we move on tomorrow. Ma de hava hava, as they say, right? What was, and Baba Kamma Daf Kuf Ches is going to be but a distant stream that I'll see in 7.5 years. Don't let it be like that. Don't let it be like that. Take something with you every single day. Nugget number 1 for today. Next, Bay Ravina, Chomesh Ukfila B'Trei Gavi Ma'iko. Supposed to listen to this. What happens? These happen to be fascinating cases. What happens if you have Chomesh and Kefel with 2 different people? Okay, so what's the case? Dami. Here we go. Kigon Shemasar Shorol Shnei Bnei Adam. So watch this case. I give my shart to 2 people, to Reuben and to Shimon, to watch over it. Vitanu bo tainas ganav. So now what happens? So now I come to get my ox back, and I will say they claim we're so sorry it was stolen. It was stolen. Reuven and Shimon are both making the same claim. Tanu bo tainas ganav. They make the claim that it was stolen. So what happens? Chad nishba v'hoda. Chad nishba bo edim. Okay, so this is really interesting. So let's say Reuven swears. And then after swearing, he admits that he lied. Shimon swears, and before he gets a chance to admit, witnesses show up and say, you lied. You lied. So I'll say, what's happening? Is this not riveting? Is this not riveting? So watch this. So now Reuven, who claimed that the shor was stolen, and now admitted liability. And now admitted that he lied. What's his liability? Karen Chomesh Asham, right? Shimon, who lied under oath, who lied, literally made a false oath, and now witnesses come. What's his liability? Kefel. Isn't this fascinating? So 2 guys, same object, both swore. One admitted liability. One had witnesses show up. Reuven is going to be chayiv Karen Chomesh Asham. Shimon is going to be chayiv Kefel. And I will say, but it's the same shar. It's so fascinating. It's the same pikadon, it's the same item that generates a distinct financial liability for both people involved. So what's the halach in this case? The Gemara says, "Hi nishalim kfela, v'hai nishalim chumsha." So remember, this is building on what we just said before. What did we just say before? That on one monetary claim, you can't be chayiv both kefel and chomesh. But maybe what that means is like this. It's one monetary claim on one person. Right? So one person can never be chayiv both kefel and chomesh for the same claim. But this is not one person. This is 2 people. So maybe 2 people again. Reuven can be chayiv kefel, and Shimon can be chayiv chomesh. O dilma ilu yechad mamona kaped rachmana delo neshalem chumsha kfela. V'hachina michavamona. Maybe no. I will say maybe the din that you can't pay chomesh and kefel together is on what? It's not a din in the gavra. It's a din in the cheftza. That on one claim, on one monetary claim, you can't be chayiv both chomesh and kefel, and therefore because it's the same ox can't generate 2 claims. So I will say here, this is a classical chakira. Is the din? I will say we just got finished establishing that you can't pay kefel and chomesh on the same monetary claim. See, here's the shaila. Is this a din in the gavra or is this a din in the cheftza? Let's work backwards. If it's a din in the cheftza, then on the same object can't generate a din or an obligation of kefel and of chomesh. If that's the case, then even there are 2 people involved, Reuven and Shimon, you can't have kefel and chomesh on the same object. Or maybe no. Maybe it's ultimately, that's if it's a din in the cheftza. Right? If it's a din in the gavra, on the individual, then one person can't be subject to a dual liability of kefal and chomesh. But in this case, it's not on one person. It's on 2 different people. Right? One guy is going to be chayiv kefal, one guy is going to be chayiv chomesh. So does that work? To which the Gemara answers, teiku. We're not sure about that. So we'll say, so this one will have to be fairly Navi. So we'll say, so again, what we do know with certainty is that one individual cannot be chayiv both kefal and chomesh. That we know. The shaila is if you have 2 people really rooted in the same monetary claim, one chayiv kefal, one chayiv chomesh, does that work? That's a teiku. Let's go back there. By Rav Papa, we'll say we know what do you do with the teiku? What do you do with the teiku? You move on. I'll say that's the yisod in life. Life has many. That's why again I mentioned this before. Rabbi Soloveitchik has such a beautiful idea where he explains why is it that the Gemara has teiku, right? Honestly, work it through. Work it through. You don't know. By the way, there's answers to teikus also, right? Because they still have to know how to navigate with the teiku. What do we usually do with the teiku? What do we do with the teiku? You just go the chumrah. That's pretty much what you end up doing in these kind of cases. So I'll say, so why do Chazal have teikus? Because Chazal is trying to teach us a very important lesson. Life is filled with questions you cannot answer. So you have a choice. When you get to a question you can't answer, do you allow it to paralyze you? And just say, I can't move on until I get the answer to this? Or say, no, you know what? Life has a lot of unanswered questions. What do I do with it? Move on. Move on. Do not let the unanswered questions of life paralyze you. What do you do after Teiku? Bayra Papa. Next. Let's move. Let's go. So Bayra Papa. Trei Chumshi o Trei Kfili Bechad Garamai. Let's listen to this. What happens if you have two Chomeshes or two Kefils? A one person, what's ta'alacha? So the Gemara says, okay, so what does this mean? Hechidami, what's the case? Shetan tainas avad vinishba vahoda. So I'll say, watch this. I deposited an object with Ruvain. I come to go ahead and reclaim it from Ruvain, and Ruvain claims, he swears that it was lost. Right? And then what happens? So he swears, and then he admits liability. He admits that he swore falsely. So again, I'll say, anytime you admit that you swore falsely, then again, same halacha. What is it? What's your liability? Right? Karen chomesh hasham. The chazar v'tan tainas avad v'nishba v'hoda. He'll say, then Reuven swears again. So how exactly this is happening, that Reuven is making the same oath twice, is a bit of a discussion. Probably the simplest way to imagine this is, he's doing this in two different batei din. Two different courts. So no one knows, right, before the days of electronic records, right? So no one knows what's happening in the other Beis Din. See, he swears and admits that he swore falsely in Beis Din A, and then he runs to Beis Din B and does the same exact thing. Right? So I'm sorry. The chazar v'tainas avad v'hoda inami kigon shetan tainas gana v'nishba. Or both say the possibility is he swore that it was stolen, right? And then what happens? Uba edim, and then witnesses came. The chazar v'tan tainas gana v'nishba uba edim. So both say either way, right? So in other words, what do you have over here? So we'll say in case number one, he's swearing that it was lost, and then he admits liability. So that's a Chomesh case. Then he does it the same exact thing again, swears that it was lost and admits liability. So now the same guy is chayiv two Chomeshes. It's the wrong word, right? Two Chumshin, right? Two Chomeshes. Or second case, right? Reuven claims, I come to Reuven, give back my deposit. Reuven claims it was stolen. And what happens? Witnesses come and say, no, it wasn't. So what is he chayiv in that kind of case? Where witnesses come and say that he has it? What is he chayiv? Kefel, and he does the same thing twice. So two kefels. So what's the halacha? Mi amrinan trei gavni mamona kamrach mana lo nishtami iluye lo nishtami chad mamona v'hacha chad gavnuhu. So I'll say. So do we say that maybe the Torah tells us that halacha l'maisa you can't pile on two different types of monetary obligations, one upon the other. So for example, we saw before, one guy can't be chayiv both chomesh and kefel. But maybe you could be chayiv the same type of monetary obligation multiple times. So in other words, you can't be chayiv chomesh and kefel, but you can be chayiv two kefels, and you can be chayiv two chomeshes. V'hacha chad gafnu. So in these cases over here, there's one type of monetary liability. O dilma, trei mamona amrach mana delo l'shtalu me'iluye chad mamona. V'hacha nami trei mamona ninhu. Tashmas, so let's analyze. The Amarava, Chamishiso Yosef Alav. The pasuk says, Rabbi talking about the din of Chomesh. Now, Rabbi here's what's interesting. The pasuk says, Chamishiso Atorah Ribsa Chamishios Harbe LeKaren Achos. The Torah says there's the possibility of being chayiv many different Chomeshes for one karen. Rabbi we actually saw that case before in the Mishnah a couple of Mishnayos ago. Shma Mina. So Rabbi what do you see from here? You see from here, Rabbi that you cannot be chayiv two different types of monetary claims simultaneously on one object. But what you can be is chayiv multiple claims of the same type of mammon. So for example, you could be chayiv multiple kefels. You could be chayiv multiple chumshin. What can't you be chayiv? Karen and a chomesh. Right? So one person on one monetary claim cannot be chayiv for different types of monetary liabilities. But on one monetary claim, you can be chayiv multiple kefels or multiple chumshin. Incredible. Both say, and that is the halacha l'maisa. So both say two major nuggets over here that you have to take with you, which are really directly related. One person cannot be chayiv both a keren and a chomesh on the same monetary claim, but yet one person, if he swears falsely multiple times, can be chayiv multiple kefels, right? I said a keren. One person can't be chayiv kefel and chomesh on the same monetary claim. But one person, if he were to swear multiple times falsely, could be chayiv multiple kefels and multiple chumshin on the same monetary claim. What's our teiku case? Our teiku case is if you have two people responsible for the same object, can one be chayiv kefel? Could one be chayiv chomesh? That's our outstanding question. That's our teiku question. Beautiful. Let's go weiter. To avua bailim l'shomer v'nishba v'shem. So we'll say another really interesting case over here. A lot of good stuff today. A lot of really good stuff. So we'll say, so now watch this. So a little bit of background over here. Actually, let's just read it. Tavu bailim l'shomer. So we'll say what happens. So let's say I go ahead and I come to Ruvain. Ruvain is watching my object. I say, Ruvain, give me back my object. And what happens? V'nishba v'shilem. Ultimately, he swears, and he pays back. And I will say, okay, so now we need a little bit of background. Take a look at Rashi. Tavua bailam m'shomer chinam v'nishba sheganva v'niftar. So we'll say the way it works is like this. If I entrust an object, whatever, I give my ox over to Ruvain. Ruvain is my shomer chinam, unpaid custodian. I come to Ruvain. I say, Ruvain, give me back my object that I entrusted with you. So Ruvain claims that it was stolen. So Rabbi say, now what's the halacha by gneva, by a shomer chinam? If an object is from a shomer chinam, what's the halacha? He's pater. Now remember again, obviously you can't just pater yourself, just pater. He swears that it was stolen. So I will say, what's Ruvain's liability once the object is stolen? I'm sorry. What's Ruvain's liability once he claims the object was stolen and he swears? Then what's his obligation? 0. He's done. Ruvain does something very interesting. Ruvain afterwards, after he swears, pays me back for the ox. Doesn't have to. Remember again, the way it works for Shomer Chino is I entrusted my ox to Ruvain. Ruvain is an unpaid custodian. I go to him. I say, Ruvain, give me back my ox. Ruvain says, I'm so sorry. I tried my best. It was stolen. No problem. Ruvain take a shvua. Ruvain swears it was stolen. I could not have avoided this situation. It was stolen. Ruvain's done. Ruvain's done. Ruvain, however, decides to pay me, gives me $5,000 for my ox. That's the cost of the ox. He didn't have to. He chose to do that. Okay, so that's the case over here. So Nishpa, he swore, thereby absolving himself from liability, but Shilem. But he still felt compelled to go ahead and pay me for my ox. Now watch this. V'hokar aganov. Now let's say afterwards, we find the thief. We find the thief. So Rabbi says, so now remember, we find the thief, bring the thief to Beis Din. What does the thief have to pay? What does he have to pay? Right, kefel. Rabbi says, let me give you one more piece of information over here. The way it works is like this. Let me give you two scenarios. I entrust my ox to Ruvain. I go over to Ruvain. Ruvain's shomer chinam. I go over to Ruvain. So Ruvain gave back my ox. Ruvain says, I'm so sorry it was stolen. I will say now, in that moment, Ruvain has a choice, right? Two paths in front of him. There are moments in life when you have two paths in front of you. What are his two paths? Number one, swear and be absolved, or pay and avoid shvua. Now I will say, now if Ruvain pays and avoid shvua, he pays, right? He pays me, he avoids the shvua. Then we find the thief. We track down the thief, Shimon. What is Shimon chayiv for? What is Shimon chayiv? Kefel. Who does Shimon pay the kefel to? In a case where Ruvain paid, Ruvain gets the kefel. Right, which makes sense because Ruvain kind of, he paid me. I said, I'm out of the picture. Now again, the thief is now going to be liable to Ruvain the shomer. In a normal case where Ruvain swears and absolves himself, and now we find the thief Shimon. Who does Shimon pay the kefel to? To me, to the owner. This is a hybrid case, right? Because what happened over here? Again, I entrusted my ox to Ruvain, right? Ruvain shomer chinam. I say, Ruvain, give back my ox. I'm so sorry it was stolen. Ruvain decides to take a shivua, absolve himself of liability, and then pays. He didn't have to. He pays me. Now we find the thief. Baruch Hashem, right? Crime doesn't pay. We find the thief, right? You can write that down also. That's a good nugget, right? Right. So now what happens? So now we find the thief. Shimon is now chayiv kefel. Now what's the shaila? who gets the kefil in this case? Fascinating. So we'll say, here we go. Abaye says, ultimately, again, the kefil goes to me, to the true owner of the ox. Rava says, no, it goes to the shomer. It goes to the shomer. It goes to Ruvain. That's what Shabbos said. The misha pikadon etzlo is called. That's called the shomer. So let's analyze this. Abaye amar lebala pikadon. So Abaye says it goes to me, to Silber, to the owner of the ox. Why? Kevan da'acheche b'shvua lo makna lekfila. See, Rabbi say. See, here's what's interesting. When do we say that kefil? When do we say that kefil ultimately goes to the shomer? We'll say, when is that? When the shomer decides just to pay the owner of the object and kind of closes out the case, the situation easily, right? And that's it. That's when the owner is makne the kefil to the shomer. But I will say, when there's a shvua, I will say, shvua is involved. Shvua is an involved thing. So at the end of the day, if the shomer is going to take a shvua, that means everybody has to show up in Beis, and then there's a whole to do. In that case, the owner is not makna. The owner does not give over the kefil to the shomer. In other words, the act of the owner giving over the kefil to the shomer, that's a sign of hakaras hatov that the owner has towards the shomer. So shomer, you could have sworn and absolved yourself. Instead, you choose to pay me back. I appreciate that. You made me whole. Now what I'm doing for you is, should they ever track down the thief, the kefil is yours. But if shomer is going to make me go through a whole process of shvua, I have to get to Beis, and I have to miss a day of work, I have to schlep. It's this. I'm not being makna anything to you. So I say that's Abaye's logic. Abaye says that if there's a shvua involved, even though again Abaye say in this case, what happened after the shvua? What happened after the shvua? Ultimately, again, the shomer paid me, right? Ruvain paid me, but still, you made me go through the tircha of the shvua. Therefore, I don't give you the kefil. Okay, Rava Amar Lemisha Bikanan. So Rava says, no. The shomer, Ruvain gets to keep the kefil. Why? Kevan the shilem makna lekfela. So we'll say, Rava looks at it like this. At the end of the day, as much as Ruvain, the shomer, took a shvua, at the end of the day, he paid me back. He paid me, and I appreciate that. You made me whole. So because you made me whole, therefore I'm makna the kefil to you. The kamiflagi b'diuka demasnis. And the truth is, Abaye and Rava are really arguing in a diuk in the Mishnah. This time, here we go. Hamafkid eitzel chaveira behema okelim v'ganva o she'avdu. So if I deposit by Ruvain an animal or utensils, and they were stolen or lost from Ruvain, shilem v'lo ratza lishava. So now I come back to Ruvain and say, Ruvain, give me back my object. Ruvain says, I'm so sorry, it was stolen, it was lost, but you know what? I'm just going to pay you back. I don't want to take a shvua, so I'm just going to pay you back for the object, and I don't want to swear. Then what's the halacha? Shari amru shomer chinam nishba v'yotzei, because after all, the shomer chinam has the ability. Shomer chinam could exempt himself through a shvua, but instead he's choosing to go ahead and pay back and be done. Therefore, what's the halacha? Nimtza haganov mishayim tashlumei kefal. If they find the ganav, right? If we find the ganav, then what's the halacha? Pay kefal. So we'll say, again, this is a case of where the shomer chinam just paid straight out. Then the halacha is, if we track down the ganav, the kefal goes to the shomer chinam. Tavachu macham shayim arba v'chamisha lemi hu mishal lemisha bikadan etzlo. So we'll say, if they find the thief and the thief slaughtered and sold, so that's arba v'chamisha. Who gets arba v'chamisha? Who gets arba v'chamisha? The shomer. Which Abba says is an interesting case, by the way. If the shomer feels, by the way, interestingly enough, if the shomer feels that there's a good possibility of tracking down the thief, he could actually make some money on this, right? In other words, Rabbi say, in all seriousness, like in other words, that Allah, if he feels that he has the ability to track down the gun, if he just pays principal, and he really could walk away. Can you imagine Arba v'chamisha? Arba v'chamisha, that's a good day. I mean, that's a solid return on investment over here, right? He paid Karen and he walked away with Arba v'chamisha. But that's the Allah Rabbi says. So Shomer Chinam, so we said before, Shomer Chinam object was stolen, object was lost. He could take a shvua, but instead of taking a shvua, he just chooses to pay. He pays, and everyone agrees that once he pays, if they track down the ganav, who gets kefil arba v'chamisha? The shomer. On the other hand, nishba v'lo ratza l'shalem. If, however, again the shomer says, you know what, I'm not paying, so instead he decides he's going to swear, and he doesn't want to pay, so he swears. V'nimtza ganav, and then they find the ganav. Mishayim tashlumei kefal. So they track down the ganav has to pay kefal. If the ganav tavachu mach, or the ganav slaughtered it and sold it, then what? Mishayim tashlumei arba v'chamisha. He pays 4 or 5 payment. Who does he pay to? Lemi hu mishalim. Who does he pay to? The bal pikadon owner. Owner pays it to me. Pays to me because and the logic is Shomer took the Shavua. By taking the Shavua, what did he do? He's removed. He's done. He's out. He's out, right? His involvement in this is totally closed off. Okay, so now obviously, our case is complicated because what happened in our case? Shomer took the shavua, but then what? Then Ruvain paid me the value of the object. So both say, so now we have machlokes Abaye and Rava. So watch this. Abaye, now remember again, what does Abaye say? So both say, so now remember, let's come back to our case. I gave the object to Ruvain. Got back to Reuven and said, I'm so sorry, it was stolen from me. Reuven swears that it was stolen and then pays me back the money for the object. Now what happens? We track down the thief. What's the shaila? Who gets the kefil? So remember again, so machlokes Abaye and Rava. So Abaye says the kefil goes back to the owner. Goes back to me. Rava says the kefil goes to the shomer, goes to Ruvain. So here we go. Abaye dayik miresha, Rava dayik miseifa. Abaye and Rava are medayik from different parts of here. Watch this. So Abaye dayik miresha. Abaye makes a dayik from the Reisha in the beginning of the Mishnah. Diktani shilem v'lo ratz l'shava. So we'll say, remember again, Abaye says like this. When does the shomer get the kefil? When does he get the kefil? When he paid and he doesn't swear. Taima de la ratz l'shava. The reason why the shomer gets the kefil is why? Because he didn't swear, because he didn't create the tircha of a shuvah. We'll say Amud Beis, ha-nishba, but if the shomer does swear, in other words, if he goes in and he creates the tircha, ultimately again of an oath, ha-nishba, afa pisha shilein, even though he subsequently pays, l'mi meshalim, who gets the kefil, labala bikaddan. So we'll say, essentially Abaye says that this is all about the tircha of the shuvah. If at the end of the day the shomer says, you know what, Shomer says, Reuven says to me, listen, Silber, I'm going to make this easy for you. I'm just going to pay you back. I'm just going to pay back. That's it. Then I have Akaras Atov for making it so easy, and he gets the kefil. But however, if he's going to start up the process of shvua, then that's a tircha. If you're starting up shvua, then I'm not giving you anything, right? Even if you subsequently pay me, I'm not giving you anything. And Lamais, again, if they find the gun of, the kefil goes to me, the owner. Rava daik niseifa. Rava is daik from the seifa of the Mishnah. Nishpa v'lo ratz l'shalem. Ultimately, again, what's the seifa? If the shomer chooses to swear and not pay, Taima de lo ratz l'shalem. So why does the owner get the kefil? Because the shomer didn't want to pay. Hashilem. What do you see from here? That if ultimately again the shomer did pay, afa pisha nishba, even if he swore, lemi meshalim, who gets the kefil? Lemi shapikadon etzlo. To the one ultimately again who has the pikad, i.e. the shomer. So we'll say, so what Rava really makes it about is paying. It's about paying. In other words, if the shomer pays the owner, then the owner by definition is makne the kefil over to the shomer. Whether the shomer did that with an oath or without an oath, Rava says, is inconsequential. If you pay and you make the owner whole, the owner has hakaras hatov and he's makna, or he has gratitude and he's makna over the kefil to you to the shomer. Sab la Abaye kashya seifa. So what does Abaye do with the seifa? Amar lecha Abaye hachi katani. This is what it means to say. Nishba v'lo ratza l'shalem. Nishba, if he swears, and he doesn't want to swear, right? He doesn't want to pay before the shvua, but it only pays after the shvua. So ultimately, who gets the kefil? The Baal Pikadon. Fine, that's how he'll read it. The Rava Kashiresha, Rava, what do you do with the Reisha? Rava Haki Katani. This is what it means to say Shilem v'lo ratza lamod b'shvua. So if he paid and did not want to just simply stand by his shvua, elo shilim, rather even after his shvua he wants to pay. So lemi mishalim. So who gets to keep the kefil? Lemi shapikadon etzlo. For the shomer. Shomer gets to keep ultimately the kefil. So the Gemara says tavua bailim l'shomer v'nishba. So we'll say, so okay, so let's stop here for just a second. So we'll say, so how do we paskin in this case? Like Abaye or like a Rava? So we'll say, interestingly enough, the Rambam paskins like Rava. Rambam paskins like Rava, and therefore in this case over here, interestingly enough, where I go over to Ruvain, I deposit my ox with Ruvain, I come to get the ox back. Ruvain goes ahead and says, I'm so sorry it was stolen. I say, okay, Ruvain, you have a choice. You want to pay or you want to swear? You want to pay, you want to swear. So we'll say, so remember again, just to understand the rest of halacha l'maaseh, in a regular case, if Ruvain swears, and then we find the ganav, who gets the kefil? Who gets the kefil? I, the owner of the object. If Ruvain doesn't swear and Ruvain pays, then Ruvain gets the kefil. in our case, now I'm staying by Reuven. Reuven, you want to swear or you want to pay? Reuven says, I'll swear. I'll swear. So he takes a shvuah, he is exempted, and then he pays me the $5,000 for the shvuah, and then, for the ox, or the pikadon. Then we find the ganov. So we paskin like Rava that the kefel goes to Reuven. The kefel will go to Reuven. Why Rabbi say? Because we adopt Rava's svara that essentially any time that the shomer goes ahead and pays back the owner, right, pays me back, then Lamaisa, out of gratitude, I'm makne the kefel to him. Even if he put me through the process of a shvuah, if he makes me whole, I have a karas atov, and therefore he will get to keep the kefel. Incredible. Let's go back there. Tavua bailim l'shomer v'nishba. See, here we go. Let's say we'll say, so again, I go ahead, same case, I deposit an object with Reuven, I go ahead and say, Reuven, give me back the object, and Reuven swears. Reuven swears he didn't steal it. He didn't steal it. What's the halacha? Then afterwards, v'hokar aganov. So we'll say, so now watch what's happening in this case. In this case, so this seems to be a pretty straightforward case over here, right? So Reuven goes ahead, I deposit the ox with Reuven, so Reuven gave me back my ox. Reuven says, I'm so sorry it was stolen. I say, Reuven, shvuah or payment. Reuven chooses shvuah. He swears. Okay, what's Reuven's involvement now going forward? What's his involvement? Done. Okay, so watch this. V'hokar aganov, and now we'll say, so now we find the thief. So what happens? Tavu shomer v'hoda. So the shomer Reuven, now we'll say, Reuven is like a shtickle, like, I'll call it like shomer vigilante, right? In other words, he has no involvement anymore, right? Why? Why does he have no involvement anymore? Because he swore. So he swore that the object was stolen, he's out. But yet, he still chooses to go after the ganav. So he goes ahead, and he goes after the ganav. So tavu shomer v'hoda. So let's say, so the shomer goes after him, and the ganav admits ultimately that he's chayiv, that he stole the object. Tavua bailim v'kafar. So now the owners, right? I track down the ganav. I'm the owner of the object. I track down the ganav, right? And the ganav denies that he did anything. V'kafar ve'viu edim. And I will say, so now what happens? I bring witnesses that call it Shimon. Shimon was really the ganav, and the witnesses claim that Shimon went ahead and Shimon stole it. So I will say, so now we have a mess, right? Why do we have a mess over here? So watch this. So okay, let's play this out. So these are really exciting cases. So now what happened over here? So let's take it from the top. I go ahead and deposit the ox to Reuven. I go back to Reuven, give back my ox. Reuven claims, stolen. I say Reuven, shvuah, payment. Reuven chooses shvuah. He swears, done. Fine. So now I'm the owner of the ox, right? So now I don't have an ox, I don't have anything. No, it's not true. We'll say it's good to know, even in life when you don't have your ox, you still have so much to be thankful for, right? So the might say, again, I don't have my ox, but I have other stuff in life. The person can never say I have nothing. The person always has something. They give a so to Kosh Baruch Hu for. So now I'm trying to track down the ganav. I find the ganav. Excellent. So we'll say, so now what happens? Unbeknownst to me, who else is tracking the ganav? Right? Reuven. So we'll say, and sure enough, who gets the ganav? First, Reuven gets the ganav. Reuven says, Shimon. Found Shimon. Shimon, I checked the surveillance tape. You stole it from me. Shimon says, I admit it. Now both sides. Now watch this. So normally a ganav would be chayiv what? Kefel. Kefel is a knas. What happens when you admit liability by a knas? Potter. Mode b'kinas pater. So Reuven confronts Shimon. Shimon admits liability. So what is Shimon going to be chayiv? Keren. So be chayiv to pay the object, but pater from kefel. Okay. I'm also tracking Shimon. I get Shimon. I find Shimon. I corner him and say, Shimon, you stole my object. Shimon says, no, I didn't. I bring witnesses that Shimon stole my ox. What is Shimon chayiv? Kefel. Now I have a problem. Why? Because Reuven, the Shaliach, it's not even, before you even get who's getting it, remember, Reuven's intervention caused Shimon to be pater from Kefel. My intervention, I'm the owner, makes Shimon chayiv and Kefel. So which one is it? Is Reuven going to be pater from Kefel because of the intervention of Reuven? Sorry. Is Shimon going to be pater from Kefel because of the intervention of Reuven? Or is Shimon going to be chayiv Kefel because of me? So incredible. So we'll say, so now watch this. Mi nifter hagana ba'odah shomer. Olo niftar agana ba'odah shomer. Is Shimon going to be pater from kefil because of his adah, because he admitted liability to Ruvain or not? So Amar Rava says, in be'emes nishba, if in be'emes nishba, niftar haganav ba'odas shomer. So we'll say, so let's take it back. If Ruvain, the original shomer, if he swore properly, then ultimately again the ganav, the niftar ganav ba'odas shomer, then ultimately the ganav Shimon is going to be pater with his admission to Ruvain. Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. In be'emes, we'll say it's the first short line. In be'emes nishba hashomer sheta nignava ba'onis v'nimtza kain. If Ruvain swore correctly, then the Maisa, then the ganav ultimately again is going to be pater. Then Shimon is going to be pater with his admission to Ruvain. Whoa, what does that mean? So now watch this. This is incredible. Watch this. If Reuven, the original shomer, swore correctly, swore truthfully, right? Then when Shimon admits liability to Reuven, then ultimately Shimon is going to be pater from KFL. Why? Because Rabbi say, since Reuven swore truthfully, the assumption is that he's an honest guy, and therefore I, the owner of the ox, if the ox were to be found, would want to redeposit it with Ruvain. So because of that, Ruvain is still considered to be halachically as if he has involvement in this situation. Since his credibility is intact, my relationship with him is not severed, and therefore, if the ox were to be found, we assume that I would want my ox to be redeposited with him. Therefore, when he tracks down the ganav, and the ganav admits to him, it's almost as if Ruvain has a quasi-identity of owner of this object, and therefore, the hodah, the admission, will exempt Shimon, the thief, from kefel. Wild. In B'Sheger Nishba, however, I will say, if it turns out, interestingly enough, that Reuven is a liar, right, and Reuven swore falsely, then Lamaisa, I would not want Reuven involved in anything over here. Therefore, when Reuven confronts Shimon, and Shimon admits liability to Reuven, as far as I'm concerned, that's nothing, that's irrelevant. I don't want Reuven involved at all, and therefore that admission does not exempt Shimon from kefel. In B'Sheger Nishba, lo niftar agana ba'odah shomer. Okay, we'll say incredible case. By Rava, another case. Amal lishava b'sheker v'lo hinichu. Ma'u. We'll say what happens. Interesting case as well. What happens if halacha l'maisa, right? The shomer got up and was about to swear falsely, but he wasn't permitted. Mahu. We'll say what is his status in that case? Take a look at Rashi. V'lo hinichu. Rashi says over here. Midalo nishba ne'aman hu adayin lebailim o dilma kevan da'omer lishava sula mehemni lebailim. So we'll say if you have a case of a shomer ultimately who was about to get up to swear falsely but never had a chance to do so, does he still maintain credibility with the owner of the object or not? Teku. We'll say the Gemara leaves that question open. I will say, isn't that incredible? Does a willingness and a readiness to commit an aveira erode your credibility, even if you don't actually get to execute? So we'll say, the Gemara says, we're not sure. Now we'll say, here's what you do know. What you do know is that Lamaisa, the answer is not no, which tells you that Lamaisa, being ready to commit an aveira, even though, again, even though machshava is not kemaisa, right? Even though in general, like in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will not hold responsible for the commission of an avera until when? Till you actually execute. We see that being ready to commit an avera, even though I don't actually carry through, that erodes some of my personalistic holiness in and of itself. Incredible. Rav Kahana Masni Hachis. Rav Kahana had this version of the question. Rav Tavumi Masni, Rav Tavumi dashed it differently. By Rava, Nishpa l'shaker mahu. What happens if halacha l'maisa? It turns out that he actually swore falsely. What's his status? Look at Rashi. Nishpa l'shaker mahu. Mi amrina nakati alei ramya d'cheiban de l'shaker nishpa safo l'izchayt l'shalim hilchach tvi aso tvi alo. So we'll say again, this is just building on the previous case. So in these cases, remember again, we'll say, even if he swore falsely, we'll say is incredible. Do we assume that since a person who swears falsely is going to come around and admit their guilt? Isn't that incredible, Abba say? So don't we say that maybe since even a person who swears falsely is going to admit their guilt, therefore they still maintain some level of credibility with the owner of the object as well. Absolutely incredible. To which the Gemara says, Teku, we're not sure. Okay, Tavu Bailim. Okay, I'll say another 2 minutes. Tavu Bailim, L'shomer V'shilem V'hokar Aganav. So we'll say, here we go. Let's say the owner went ahead and tavu l'shomer. So we'll say same case. I go over to I own the object. I ultimately again go over to Ruvain. I say, Ruvain, give me back the object. So what happens? V'shileim. Ruvain says, I'm not swearing. He said, what does Ruvain do? He pays. He pays v'hokar aganav, and then we find the ganav, we find the thief. Tavu bailim v'hodelo. So what happens? So we'll say, so now we find the thief. So generally, what happens in this kind of case when you find the thief? What happens? We'll say, actually, we're gonna. No, I can't stop here. All right, so let's just go a little bit right there. So tavu bailim m'shomer v'shilei. So we'll say, so what happens? I have an object, I deposit it with Ruvain. So then what happens? Ruvain is faced with the possibility of either payment or oath. So Ruvain chooses to go ahead and pay. He pays v'hokar aganav. We find the ganav. Okay. Tavua bailim v'hoda. So this is interesting. So now we'll say, so then what happens when Ruvain pays? What happens when Ruvain pays? What's the halacha? So remember, if Ruvain pays, we'll say, and then we find the ganav, who gets the kefel? Who gets the kefel? Ruvain gets the kefel. Right? Ruvain gets the kefel. So the Maisa in this case over here, something interesting happened. Tavua bailim. I, the owner of the object, still inserted myself in the situation. I confront the ganav, and what does the ganav do? Hoda. He admits his liability. Now what happens when he admits his liability? What happens? He's pater from kefel. Behoda. Tavu shomer. So Rabbi says, now Ruvain confronts the ganav also, and what happens? V'kafar. Ganav, we'll call him Shimon, denies liability. Vehevi edim. So what does Ruvain do? Ruvain brings witnesses, and therefore what happens? We'll say, Vehevi edim. So we'll say, so now I have an interesting case over here. Based on my involvement, when I confronted Shimon the thief, Shimon admitted liability, in which case he's pater from kefel. When Ruvain confronted him, he denied liability. Ruvain brought witnesses, so now ultimately Shimon is chayiv in kefel. So we'll say, so now what's the status? Niftar ganav ba'odas bailim olo. Is Shimon the ganav, is he pater as a result of the admission he made to me or not? So the Gemara says, Mi aminan matzi amar le shomer labaylim asun kevan de shaklisuluchu dami istalikisuluchu mihacha. Maybe Ruvain could say to me, Silber, listen, I paid you. Because I paid you, you know what you need to do? You know what you need to do? Go away. That's what you need to do, right? Right? We pay people all the time money to go away, right? I go away. I paid you the money, go away. What are you doing? What are you doing confronting the ganav? That's why I paid you to remove you from this situation. Oh Dilma, Matzi Amrile, or perhaps I will say ultimately the owner, right? In other words, me, I could say back to Ruvain, since you did something good for me by paying me back the principal, Ana nami avdinan lecha tachinan basar gavna shaklinan anan didan v'shakal at didach. Or both say, perhaps I, the owner of the object, can say, Ruvain, no, I'm here to help. Just like you went ahead and you paid me for the principal, right? So too I have a vested interest in getting you back repayment. And therefore, again, how am I going to do that? By tracking down the ganav to help you get repayment. So both say, so these are the two sides. In other words, once the shomer pays off the owner, does the shomer have the ability to say, no, you're out? Or maybe no, the owner could still say, the same way you made me whole, I'm taking it upon myself to make you whole. So I will say, what's the halacha? Teku. Ultimately, again, I will say it remains outside. All right, I will say, shkoyach, we'll stop over here. What a daf. I will say, so absolutely incredible. Again, I will say, it gets even better tomorrow. Shkoyach, everyone. All right, Chavra Zoom, have a great day, everyone.